Okay, let's start this. So, welcome to our webinar, uh, part of the ISLYE program of Arcus. Um, I'm really happy that you joined our webinar to find out how is business in Graz in Austria. Um, we will show you something about this place and how to do business here and during the next, let's say, 1.5 hours, depending on your questions. Um, Feel free to ask questions. Just to give you the rules at the beginning. You can also type in the chat if you want. If you have a specific question, we will get it into discussion also from the chat. So, welcome in Graz, at least in the Zoom room hosted in Graz. We are really happy that you're interested in this webinar. My name is Bernhard Weber. I'm from the University of Graz and they're responsible for startups and spin-offs and working also in this Arcus program, responsible for the entrepreneurship topic. And what we want to do this morning is to give you a quick overview of how to do business in Austria and what you can expect when you come to Graz, maybe in this exchange program, and where we can help you and give you some connection or whatever you want in Graz. The rough outline of this morning session is now the introduction. We'll give you a kind of deep dive into this ISLYE program so that you know everything, how you can apply and the timelines and so on. Then we'll give you an overview over how to do business in Austria, doing business in Graz, in Styria here at this city. And then also there's a Q&A section where you can ask a question you want to ask. So who will give you this introduction? I will introduce you to us. But before, we thought it would be a good idea when you come to Graz. Graz is a German-speaking city. We'll give you now like a 1.5 minute language lecture. After that, you will know everything you have to know when you want to speak German in Austria, Vienna, or in Graz. So please listen up to our short session. As we are a university, we always give lectures. So we also want to give you a lecture in German speaking, and you will learn how to speak German just using one word. And I hope the sound will also work. So that's a little experiment. So listen and look.
Are you visiting the beautiful city of Vienna, but you do not know how to speak German, yet you would like to blend in? Don't you worry. To become a true Viennese, all you need to know is just one word. Heute, coming from the word alte, meaning the old one, can be used in any sentence, or it can stand on its own. Let's say you wanted to say, I'm confused. Heute, I'm hurt. Heute, this is a positive surprise. Heute, I really have to go to the bathroom. Heute, this is exciting. This is very boring. I'm lost. You can just wind it to say, don't forget to turn off the stove. You look stunning today, and I didn't expect it. Stop looking at my boobs. Mike, you just won. Vienna is so beautiful. I had too many schnitzels. I have been waiting for the bus for 17 minutes and it's still not here. It's really hard for me to make a decision. I had too many white sprinters and now I know that the Earth is actually spinning around itself. What nonsense are you saying? I've had a couple of beers too many and I have something very important to tell you. I really think you're cute. This person that I really dislike just came into the room, so I will have to pretend that I give a damn. What I would actually like to do is just to dissolve in an explosion of magical smoke. This is the most astounding thing I've seen so far. I'm out of ideas.
So now you know everything you have to know to survive in a German-speaking country, especially in Austria. So you just have to know one word and you are doing good. So now we come to the more funny part. So we'll give you the insight into the business landscape here in this region. When speaking of we are three of us. So we have a wonderful guest speaker here, Veronika Wolf. She is managing director of the Club International Graz, which is a organization which is responsible for every incoming expatriates coming here to Graz and giving services to these people. She will introduce herself later on in her part of the presentation. Thank you for joining us in the morning. And one part will be given by Christina. She's a colleague of mine and a research assistant at the Center of Entrepreneurship here at the university. And myself, I'm managing director of the Center for Knowledge and Innovation Transfer, which is a subsidiary of the University of Graz. And we are running an innovation hub and the startup center here at the campus. And we can provide you with program facilities, office space, everything you want if you join us here in Graz. So what I want to do now is hand over to Christina. She will give you an overview over the ISLYE program and maybe give you some insights how you can apply and how it's going on timeline wise. So please, Christina.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm super happy that you're all here today. Bernhard, can you go to the next slide? Perfect. So first of all, I want to talk to you a bit about the ISLYE program, which is part of the Arcus Alliance. The Arcus Alliance consists of 7 universities. That's the University of Bergen, Granada, Graz, Leipzig, Lyon, Padova, and Vilnius. Those universities have a lot of things in common. First of all, they are long-standing comprehensive research universities, which also have they have they have extensive experience in joint projects, and they also have a common profile as they are all internationalized institutions. They have a deep regional engagement and they are all located in medium-sized cities. So the main objectives of the Arcus Alliance are, first of all, to jointly engage in increased equality and education and research, also enhance the social, cultural, and civic engagement, and then also to educate engaged critical European citizens who act as competent decision makers. So Arcus should be kind of a role model for European university integration. Can you go to the next slide?
Of course.
Sorry. So as part of the Arcus program, the International Soft Landing for Young Entrepreneurs was founded and started. By establishing partnerships between the incubators of the different universities of Arcus, the objective of the ISLYE program is to offer international mobility opportunities between the different Arcus cities for student entrepreneurs and incubatees. So with this regard, can we go back? Yeah, thank you. With this regard, you will receive an intercultural approach to business. You will get international mentoring and coaching sessions. You will meet a lot of startups and companies in a peer-to-peer logic and develop a business network. So who is the program aimed at? It's aimed at startup entrepreneurs and incubatees from the Arcus universities. The program is mainly divided into two different stages. First of all, there's the preparation period, which consists of a digital support phase as well as a training phase, and will take place in 2020. Second of all, there's the physical mobility period, where you will actually be located at another university, whereby the incubators will accompany you for 2 to 3 weeks in 2021. So we would be super happy to accommodate you in the period of April to June 2021, or from October to December 2021 for about 2 to 3 weeks. So which costs are paid by the ISLYE program? All services and resources offered to you to incoming mobilities are free of costs. This means all the mentoring sessions, the coaching sessions, seminars, all of that will be covered. However, you would have to pay for the travel and accommodation costs by yourself. There is, however, maybe the potential to receive co-funding, but you need to go back to your university to check if they co-fund the ISLYE program. So when we look at the timeline, at the moment we are located really in the beginning with the webinars. Those are open to everyone at the moment. So after the webinars have ended, there will be the official ISLYE call for mobilities where you can apply to. And in case you want to apply, for example, for coming to Graz, you need to put an application at your local referent containing a CV and an executive summary. In case then you're nominated to take part in the ISLYE program, you can make the next part is kind of making consisting of a webinar as well as a coaching session with a local expert for doing market research. You will kind of try to develop a target market research and also get an overview of the potential clients, partners, and competitors of the respective market. Building on this, in the next step, you will receive, so you will be partnered up with a coach, a local coach, who helps you kind of to analyze the target market research you've done and also prioritize together with you the clients and develop a market entry strategy. So in the last point, kind of before the actual mobilities begin, will be the networking session where you will receive contacts of potential first clients, potential first partners. You can already get in touch with them and talk to them via video or email before the actual face-to-face meeting when you will be physically in Graz will take place. So then hopefully afterwards the physical mobility will take place, and hopefully we will, we can welcome you in Graz. In order that you already know something about Austria, about the facts and figures, I will now give you a brief update about the business landscape in Austria. Thank you. So this is Austria. Austria is kind of located really in the heart of Europe. We have the capital, which is Vienna, which is located in the east of the country. Austria is surrounded by a lot of different countries, namely it's Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Germany, Slovenia, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, and Italy. Austria itself is divided into 9 federal states. One of the federal states is Styria, with the capital Graz. And the population amounts to 8.8 million people. The official language is German, but as you've already seen, there are a lot of accents spoken, where you already know the most important word, Oida. To talk a bit about the economy, the GDP amounts to roughly $456 billion US, and there are about 330,000 companies registered. I think what is really interesting is that like 160 companies are world market leaders in their category. So we tried to highlight some of the companies you might know, which are Austrian. First of all, there's Manner. It's a sweets manufacturer. The Voestalpine, they are a technology and industrial goods group. There is Magna, who works as an automotive supplier and also vehicle manufacturer. Swarovski, which is known for the cut crystal glass. And I think every one of you knows Red Bull, and yeah, the brand which is built around the drink. So there are 4.5 million people employed in Austria at the moment, and the unemployment rate at the moment amounts to 11.5%, which is a lot due to Corona, because normally the unemployment rate would be around 7%, 6%, something like this. So I hope I could give you a brief introduction into the facts and figures of Austria. And Bernhard will now tell you a bit more about the doing business in Graz.
Thank you, Christina, for this overview. So just to remind, if you have some question, just type it in the chat during the presentation, and we can then talk in the Q&A session. So now we take a 2-hour train ride or drive by car from Vienna to Graz, and I give you an overview over our hometown here, where the University of Graz is located. It's more south, in the south region, southeastern region of Austria, and beautiful city in a nice region of Styria. You will love it if you come to Austria. So Graz is the second biggest city in Austria, around 330,000 inhabitants, and also a strong tourism part. So because it's, as I said, it's a nice city. And it's the economic heart of the Styrian region. More than 30% of all people are working in the nearer Graz region here in Styria. Like the budget of the city is like 1.4 billion euro, and we have around 10,000 companies, and like you see the figures of the Graz region economy, which is a very lively region here in Austria. So just to give you a feeling about Graz, some maybe useful information. If you come to Graz, we have like average prices like middle of Europe, like a coffee you get around 3.5 euro, or beer for 4 to 5 euro, or a lunch menu from 8 to 50 euros. So that's around the situation here in Graz, quite common like everywhere in Austria. Graz is also known as for the cultural heritage. It's a UNESCO cultural heritage city. It's also known as city of design. So we are UNESCO city of design. So there are a lot of activities going on in architecture, industrial design. So if you need expertise for your product, for example, in industrial design, we have the University of Applied Science here, who has a special focus also on industrial design, for example. You see here some impressions from the city with buildings from the university, and also walk through the city. So again, really nice. Coming to the corporate area here in the region, Ms. Wolf will give you a more intensive overview over that. But a lot of companies are clustered around these industries like human technologies, automotive, logistic, semiconductor industry, and also plant manufacturer industry. So these are some of the main clusters of companies. Maybe you know some of them, the brands like ABL is one of the world leading companies in developing in automotive technologies. Logistics company like Knapp is one of the world leaders in warehouse logistic. We have some very strong semiconductor companies here around in the region, like NXP or Austrian Microsystems or Infineon, and also human technology. area is comparatively good, with a strong focus on health tech. So diving a little bit deeper into the startup ecosystem. So Graz is with Vienna, which is the most biggest hub in the startup ecosystem, and together with Linz, Graz, Vienna, so we are the strongest city in Austria in this startup ecosystem. We have around 9 different incubators, accelerator programs running here in the city, private and public funded. We have regular events, weekly events. We have around 20 small or bigger co-working space and fab labs, and a lot of startups growing out of universities, for example. Some of the startups we are having started here in Graz, and most of them we supported here in this academic region. So also there are they are clustered around topics like IT software, of course. There are some very interesting projects going on. Health tech, again, is a strong vertical here in Graz. There are some interesting companies clustered around the health tech topic. And also hardware has a good tradition. Also, it's the hardest business in startup business is the hardware business. There are some very interesting companies, which, for example, U-Sound is, I would guess, actually the start of one of the highest valuation in Austria. They are doing like developing MEMS speakers, so small speaker systems for mobile devices like smartphone and tablets, or Sturdek, they developed a welding technology, or ISLYE, they are working on autonomous charging technology for electromobility, or yeah, you can find, we will send all the information about that also after the webinar. So now moving on to the, let's say, science city of Graz. Graz is, I would say, very dominated by universities and universities of applied science. You see the figures, we have around 60,000 students and like 10,000 employees of universities. So 70,000 people are directly involved in the academic landscape compared to 330,000 inhabitants. It's a very, I would say, it's a science or student city. So a lot of science, a lot of student life is going on here in Graz. And so we just collected together the fields of research where there is a focus on the bigger university in Graz. Like on our university, it's the University of Graz, also known as Karl Franzens University. We have fields of research focused on climate change, which is very important in Graz. Also there's biohealth division, and then complexity of life, smart regulations, also an important topic, and everything is going on around urbanization. These are the fields of interest in most important fields of interest in research here on our university. Our friends of the Graz University of Technology, there are 6 fields of research with advanced material science, human and biotechnology, information communication, computing, a lot of things going on in the field of picture recognition and artificial intelligence on Graz University of Technology. For example, Amazon is doing research together with the University of Technology in the field of autonomous drones and things like that. And then we have the Medical University, the third big university here in Graz in the city, with focus on things like cardiovascular research, cancer research, and also neuroscience. You'll find everything also in the details we sent to you. Coming to our university, we have around 3,000 researchers here on the campus, 31,000 students, and a budget of around 230 million euros. So it's a, like in European context, it's a mid-sized university with a very broad range of topics, and can give you a small impression on the research with a 30 seconds video, or not. Let's try it again.
What will our future look like if we view uncertainty as opportunity and make space for truly important questions? Space for curiosity, for critical thinking, for architects of the future, for responsibility, for the digital storm, space for unconventional answers. This is the University of Graz. Space for questions that matter.
Yeah, that was a short image video about our university. As you see, the bees at the last picture, University of Graz is one of the world centers of research going around honeybees and bees. And actually, for example, we are working on 2 spin-offs, company working on bee health. So the research in this fields, for example, is we are one of the world leaders here at the university. Now I want to hand over to our colleague Ms. Wolf from the Club International. I hand over the screen share to you, and very, very interesting to see more about business location Styria and all the cluster organizations here in the landscape, which can be a good place to connect to the local ecosystem.
Okay, I would be happy to do so. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can see my presentation right now. Okay. Well, thank you for having me here. I feel honored to have the opportunity to join your morning round. As mentioned, my name is Veronica Wolf, and I work as the...
I don't see the screen share.
Oh, but...
Maybe I'm the only one, I don't know.
No, I don't see it either.
Okay, sorry.
Let's just try again.
Actually, so, okay, very sorry.
Ah, yeah, now it works.
Okay, can you see it properly, or I think I should still...
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, now,
yeah, now
hopefully we have it. So, sorry. Okay, so one more time. My name is Veronica. I work as the CEO for SINT Club International, who is the Styrian Center of Excellence and Services for Expatriates and their families. I would like to introduce you very briefly to our organization, as it might be of interest to you, like incomings or potential entrepreneurs who maybe consider to set up their business even here in Styria. Our organization was founded 2011 by public hand, which was and still is the Styrian Chamber of Commerce, the Federation of Styrian Industries, and the Economic Department of the City of Graz. So as you can see, there's a very strong link to industry or industrial organization. And as said, we are an organization who takes care of expatriates who come to Graz or Styria and wants to set up their life here. Our care competence is supporting them in all matters when it comes to living and working in Styria. We offer individual care concepts for international employees of our member companies, but not only for them, also for their entire families. So all kind of administration you can imagine, which has to be done when you come in a new country, is done by us, or we support our expatriates with that. If it's work permits, residence permits, insurances, co-insurances, even things like converting driving license or getting a new electricity provider. So all that kind of things we do support with. Of course, it's not only about the administration. One of our main duties is also getting people together, link them. So we take care for international network within our community. We organize more than 25 events per year. On one side, interesting information evening on pension scheme, on tax system, but also topics like all about childbirth, pregnancy, and support which you can get by the government, and also a lot of leisure time formats like sightseeing trips, guided tours, so that people just can get together and, simply said, feel comfortable at their new home country. Just to give you an idea how we work through our member companies. So we take care of the international employees of our member companies exclusively. That means that we are not entitled to serve a private person. A private person cannot sign up for the membership, but we would be very interested to work with you further together. If you are a potential, if you are a new startup or innovative entrepreneur who would consider to settle down to business here, we would be happy to support you with different matters all around this. And we offer also special programs for young entrepreneurs and startups. Here, just an overview of our member companies, many of which you could see on the previous slides, as Bernhard was introducing us to the main businesses here in Austria. So just as an overview, this is already my last slide on our organization, just to give you a feeling how big we are. We are a small organization. We have a total of 5 employees, but here is just a number of clients we've been supporting per year. 2019, as you can see, it was a great year for us. We had a plus of 29% in terms of member companies. And also in terms of number of clients we've been supporting, we serve more than 720 international highly qualified workers here in Styria. 2020 so far was also a very busy year. As by the middle of June, we reached more than 330 clients we are currently supporting. So we hope the trend will stay positive. On the right side, you can see the top 5 nations when it comes to our network, so where our people come from. The biggest community comes from India, followed by Italy, Brazil, Germany, and Croatia. In total, we work with people coming from 76 different nationalities. Generally speaking, in Graz are currently living people from 160 nations, which makes Graz to a truly international spot. The share of international population in Styria is 11.5%, which makes it really, combined with the industry and the research and educational landscape, makes it to a very attractive place to work and live in. When it comes to Styria as a province, and Graz is the capital of this county, when we would like to look at the economy, there are 2 main things which immediately needs to be said, or which come to my mind. First of all, Styria has a dynamic export market, a positive trade balance, which means that more products, or number of products which are exported is higher than the number of products which are being imported into the country. What is even more interesting for you is the fact that the Styria is the so-called knowledge-based economy, as it offers indeed a outstanding educational training and research development environment. It's a environment with a mix of large multinational companies, as well as innovative enterprises, SMEs, startups, and self-employed people. I give you just one number just to make it prove. The research quota in Styria is almost 5%, and Styria in that term has been within the last decade always among the top 3 best regions when it comes to European Union. The research quota gives us a number how much money of a turnover of a company or county or even state is spent on research and development. And if you compare it to the European Union, where the average is 2.8, Austria has slightly over 3% right now, is Styria with around 5%, really among the top players within the European Union, given that we are talking about almost 300 different regions within the European Union. It's an extremely dynamic environment, and it's attractive also for companies from abroad. Not only that, if we compare Austria to other European countries, Austria still have favorable tax conditions for headquarters and R&D activities. It still has a moderate labor costs, but above all, what makes it so attractive and interesting is the fact that Styria offers attractive financial support programs and foundings for startups, newcomers, for innovative enterprises. So let's make it really special. When it comes to economy and job market, some of the main characteristics have been already mentioned by Bernhard, but the top 5 industry sectors in Styria are, as you can see, number 1, mechanical engineering and vehicle construction, metal production, metal processing, very important one, electrical engineering and electronics here in Styria, but also food industry and wood, pulp and paper are the main players within the Styrian economy. When I was thinking how to introduce you briefly to a Styrian or to Styria as a business location, I think the best things to do is to do it through the cluster landscape, because it wonderfully mirrors the connection between companies, between the industry and the R&D organization and institutions which work closely together under the umbrella of these clusters. So here the overview, the biggest one is the AC Styria Mobility Cluster, then Creative Industries Styria, Green Tech Cluster, very important as well, Holz Cluster, which means wood or wooden cluster, Human Technology Styria, and the Silicon Alps cluster. I will just give you a short overview on them within the next slide. The biggest one, as already mentioned, is the AC cluster, so Automotive Cluster Styria, which has its competence in 3 fields. It's an impressive hub of companies and research institution having a sale volume of 17 billion euros. More than 70,000 employees are included within this cluster, which means around 300 companies working together. The biggest part of cluster is the automotive industry, was mentioned already before, where around 160 partner companies are included. And this automotive cluster covers the entire added value chain within the automobile industry, especially manufacturing, pressing raw materials, components to car production. And what is interesting is the fact that it is all about from serious production to racing. So not only commercial cars, commercial vehicles, but also high-end products for racing industry. I put some companies just to give you an idea. Again, some of them have been already mentioned. The biggest one would be, of course, Magna, which is, as already mentioned, a technology company for automakers, a global automotive supplier with an annual production around 200,000 vehicles. So that makes the company to the largest contract manufacturer for automobiles worldwide. AVL is also a very interesting company. This is the world's largest privately owned company for development, simulation, and testing of powertrain systems. Not only combustion engines, but also hybrid, electric drive, transmission, batteries, fuel cell and control technology. So very impressive range within the area of expertise. IMS AG is also a very interesting company as they design and manufacture sensors. They are used in many particular industries, but also very strongly, of course, within the automotive sector. But AMS also supplies with sensors, interfaces, and related software for commercial market, in medical or consumer market in general. Virtual Vehicle is also a very interesting company, closely related to the Technical University of Graz. And it is a leading international R&D center for the automotive and rail industries, which comes within my next slide. Rail systems is also, as said, the part of this cluster where a lot of research is being done, especially in the area of rolling stock, track and system signaling. And one of the part of this cluster is also aerospace. For me as a non-technician, absolutely fascinating area. As you can see, around 80 companies work within this cluster. The area of expertise is, among others, cabin interiors, structural components, drivetrain, lightweight constructions. Here also some companies. NXP needs to be mentioned definitely in this regard, because it's a semiconductor suppliers which acts in 35 countries worldwide. Originally, they've been founded by Philips, but 2006, they've been sold privately. The company is located just 5 minutes away from Graz. It's also one of our biggest members. And within the semiconductors industry, definitely belongs to the big players on this market. I also mentioned the University of Leoben, which is country's university for mining, metallurgy, and materials, if some of you would be interested in that field. And within this care competence, the University of Leoben was always ranked among the top 10 worldwide. So it's also a very impressive institution. The next cluster is the Human Technology Cluster, with the main goals on enhancing human development, supporting humans in daily life, increasing of human health. So of course it's all around med tech, pharma tech and biotech. It is fascinating as only within this cluster more than 30 centers of innovation are collaborating together, and it includes more than 300 economic and scientific members. Some of the area of their expertise are active and healthy aging, medical 3D printing, digital innovation, and it includes a bunch of employees, more than 35,000. Also some players within this cluster, Medical University of Graz, I think it's been already mentioned within the previous slide. Let me just mention the one which hasn't been mentioned so far, which is AT&S, which is a supplier for semiconductor companies as they manufacture high and printed circuit boards and substrates for semiconductors. The Green Tech cluster is also very important and successful. Of course, it is all about energy and environmental technologies. So bioenergy, solar energy, green building, waste and resource management, wind energy, hydroelectricity, and also in terms of sustainable transport, so electric vehicle and plug-in hybrids. More than 200 companies and research institutions work together, and it has been grouped in the so-called Green Tech Valley, which makes it unique because all these companies are located in Graz or very closely to Graz, which makes it to the world's highest concentration of green tech companies within our drive, so highest density. How this cluster or this Green Tech Valley has been successful, you can see on this particular screenshot, which gives us the data from 2008 till 2014 in sales growths, where it comes a little bit clearer. Taking the global green tech companies into account, their growth was by 73%. And when it comes to Green Valley itself, the growth here has been really remarkable, as you can see, 131%. I pick up one company just to name someone within this cluster, which is a huge big player, is a globally leading supplier of plants, equipment, services for hydropower stations, pulp and paper industry, also for metalworking industry, steel industries, and for waste management when it comes to solid and liquid separation of waste. Andritz is headquartered in Graz, but employs more than 25,000 people worldwide and operates more than 250 sites all over the world. So it's also a very important cluster and very fascinating area, what happens all there. Creative industry steria might be of interest to you who are also interested in arts and design. Their main line, I think, describe it the best: created in Styria, produced in Styria, and sold worldwide. So this cluster is taking care of design transfer, building bridges between Styrian companies and creative professionals. It's all about designing strong identity of Styrian products and raising awareness of a good design. There are also some universities which are top in industrial design. And I pick up just some projects which are being done within this cluster just a small number. One of these is experience economy, then UNESCO City of Design, or the so-called Diagonale. Experience economy, I think, is very interesting because it's offered every year for a certain period of time, where interested public has the opportunity to see the companies at heart. Experience tour are being offered for public, where people can see, get to know the business, try out. So it's very interesting project where this cluster takes care of quality management and the proper design of these tours. Not last, the next one is the Holz cluster, Steiermark. So cluster which is acting within the woodworking industry. At the first sight, it might not be the fanciest one, maybe, but it's also very important because of its nature, of its main product, which is wood. It is a cluster where the companies are not located in Graz or suburban areas, but more on the countryside. And therefore, it's very important, as it has a very strong impact on rural development. It is an intersection between the industry, R&D, and public authorities. So it helps or it contributes to securing jobs also in the rural area. And as you can see, 55,000 jobs and more than 5,300 companies are under this umbrella of this Holz cluster. And now, last but not least, the Silicon Alps cluster. In terms of volume, it's comparable to the automotive cluster, a very big one, including around 130 companies, more than 30,000 employees. And it is a cluster with a very important industry, which is electronics, microelectronics, and nanoelectronics, which makes it at some sense special because of this particular industry. It is a cluster which works as a interface between all clusters, semiconductors or electronics, chips, all these kind of things is needed nowadays in almost all industries. So it's a kind of a vertical integration of nanoelectronic products in all industries. There are several focus groups and a huge number of projects. Just to name a few: RFID, IoT, cybersecurity. So all these fancy stuff with a very rapid development. I put two companies on this slide, which is NXP, which was already mentioned before, and Infineon. Infineon is headquartered in Germany, but it's also very strong here in Styria. And I shouldn't forget, this cluster is also interesting because it works beyond its borders, not only with companies who are located in this county of Styria, but also with the neighboring county, Carinthia. So it includes a variety of companies within those two counties. Infineon is also a great example of that, as there is a company site located directly in Graz and also in Carinthia within particular company. Infineon also is a semiconductor manufacturer, so those two are actually main competitors. Infineon has 47,000 employees worldwide and is one of the largest semiconductor manufacturers worldwide. It is market leader in automotive and power semiconductors. So that was probably very quick and just on the surface, but I hope that it's sufficient for the very beginning. Herewith, I would be done. If you have any further questions, we would be happy to answer them at a later point of time, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Veronica, for this very brief overview of all the sectors active here in Styria or in Graz. So you see there's a lot of things going on here, and what we can do when you come to Graz, we can try to connect you to all these cluster organizations and to all the certain companies within the clusters. So what's important for us, of course, is to get to know whether there are a specific question to the region, to the Arcus program or to the ISLYE program. So you feel free to ask whatever you want. We try to answer the questions now and of course also in the future. So if you have specific questions to us, to all those information you got during our overview over the Styrian Austrian economy or the company landscape, please feel free to raise it, open your mic or type it in the chat, how you want it. Please ask these questions, so that it's also important for us to get to know in which specific field you are interested, which could be interested when you come to Graz. That would be great to know that. Yeah, just as maybe you saw, there's a lot very intensive cluster landscape here in Styria. We are known for that. We are some kind of like inventor of this cluster topic in Europe. And the good thing is the university and also our incubation organization is very connected to all these clusters. So when you saw a company or a logo on the slides of Veronica, you can just contact us. We try to put you in contact with these companies. That's part of, let's say, our service within the ISLYE program. If that is not so, you can also write us an email in future. I just want to give you a little bit of next input in the next steps within the mobility program. We'll now soon start the call for the program, so we'll publish it, and you will have to send us a CV and executive summaries, and we'll send it out after the webinar, and we'll be very happy to receive some applications also of startups who want to come to Graz, because I think it's worth to use Graz as a kind of a home base to get to know the Austrian landscape. Also, not mentioned now, we are also very near to the borders of Slovenia, so if you want to reach out in this South and Eastern Europe region, Graz is also kind of a good hub to move on in this region. Just one information from my side, when you come to Graz, we can offer you space in our brand new startup hub on the campus of the university, which will be finished in March 21. So therefore we would be best to start your mobility in Graz in April 21. So you will be one of the first user of our office spaces, co-working spaces and conference rooms. And I think in April 21, there will be a lot of things going on in the center to give him a push at the start. So this will be the place you will be located. Right in the heart of our campus, in the heart of Graz, with very active ecosystem around it. Bars, restaurants, universities, everything is going on here in the space. So that would be really, we are really looking forward to welcome you in this city and in our new building. So Yeah.
I think, Bernhard, there's a question in the chat.
Yeah. Great.
So I don't know, Veronica, if you might answer the question, what the business development landscape looks like for a startup interested in chemistry or nanomaterials, if you have insights about companies located there. I think.
Just one thing, Veronica mentioned the university in Leoben, Modern University.
Yep.
They are doing a lot of things about this. They have also a research company which is specialized on this. Also, we can put you in contact with the colleagues of the Graz University of Technology and our colleagues in chemistry. And so there's a lot of things going on. Our university campus, University of Graz, has a big chemistry materials department, and they're working closely together with the colleagues of Graz University of Technology. So, and those institutes are well connected to companies, so that could be a good way to connect to this field. So especially nanotechnology is a thing where we also have a spin-off company working with nano materials here on our university campus. And as Veronica, but you can add, there are a lot of things going on around the Mountain University in Leoben, which is specialized on materials.
Well, I wouldn't say anything else that you did, Bernhard. I think the best link is through you and through the research institution to reach out to other companies. I have no specific overview about the chemistry only, or to set it better, it also would depend what kind of business it is to make the proper link. Because there would be also a number of different areas. But from my point of view, I could also reach out to other institutions and to do a kind of a research based on your particular field of expertise, what would be the proper partners. It's no problem in that. Did it answer the question? I think Bernhard also was very valuable. So,
as you said, I think we have to specify it so that we can who will definitely be a good contact, and we will be happy to help you to get in contact with our chemistry and nano experts here in Graz and in Leoben. But there are companies, there are also startup spin-offs, there are lots of research going on. So I definitely think we will have someone who will be an interesting partner. So there's another question from Giovanni. We are a little Italian engineering firm focused on geological matters. We understand find local about that. Yeah, of course we can. Of course, you think you are eligible for the program. I think best thing is to just send an application after we open the call. Again, geological matters, there are things going on here in our university, and of course there are some world-renowned experts in Leoben for this matter, but I think we'll find. So best thing is for me, always send an application and you will be hopefully invited into this program. Feel free to send an application, and if there are some questions concerning application, you can send us specific technical administrative question, of course, to this. But I would not say that you're not eligible. And of course, we're always happy to welcome Italian friends here.
Absolutely. And also, you know, if you come within this program which the University of Graz offers, and you'll be around, we of course can get in touch, and you can at least join us for some events during the period when you are there, just to give you the feeling of international community of Graz. I don't see any problem there. Just to exchange with the people, with the highly qualified workers. It's also possible, of course.
Yeah, I would, there's a question from Christopher. I will think you can perfectly survive with English. Of course, in business surrounding, you're perfect with English, and normally you can help yourself in every, whether in the shops or restaurants, or also in moving Graz, English will be no problem. So for sure that would be possible. At least if you know English and the word order, you will find in Graz, and you also in Vienna, if you like to travel once to Vienna.
Maybe speaking about our members, which are companies working internationally, but it's not only about the big players like Magna or the huge companies. We have also one of our members, you mentioned Bernd before, it's U-Sound, which is not such a big company here in Graz. We have companies where between 20 and 40 people work, but all of them, their work language is English. So especially within the area you are acting it, English would be no problem at all. But at the same time, we do always recommend our expatriates to learn German. The access to the country, to culture, it's always being done through language. So I would recommend it anyway, but you would survive, of course.
Yeah, I would also see that in that direction. So, and just to add some soft facts, if you're coming like from northern regions of Europe, Graz is also known like for its Mediterranean climate. So it's like a little bit like Italy without the sea. So if we have hopefully nice sunny days, you can make like your business meetings in the old town in Graz, and it's very nice. So also important to, if you work hard, you have to work in a nice surrounding.
Exactly. It's not only about working, but also living here. Just if I may say a few words from the perspective of the expatriates. Primarily, they come to Graz because of the great job offer. But as soon as it more or less clear that the job offer will be taken, they start to ask about the quality of life in Graz. And here I am absolutely convinced that Graz is a great location. Geographically, it has been mentioned at the beginning, in the heart of Europe. You can travel to many countries all around. I was working at the university previously, and that was one of the main attractors for the students located in the center of Europe. They could travel within their exchange studies to entire Europe at low costs. So it's really a great area also for living. And one of the main attractors when it comes to our expatriates, it's the security system, it's the security itself within the country and region. I consider Graz as a very safe city, definitely. And what they treasure the most is also the environment, energy, clean air, and the green surroundings. So I think this shouldn't be forgotten. It's important and great.
Okay. If there are no further questions in the chat or on mic. I really say thank you to all of you to joining us in the morning for this webinar on doing business in Graz. As I said, we are really looking forward to your application. We will really be happy to see you here in Graz and see you in the webinars in the next months. I have to say thank you to Veronica to give us this great overview over the landscape and explaining the services of the Club International. Thank you to Christina, and stay in contact with us if you're interested. And if you have also, I guess I can say, if you have questions, you can also contact your home university, which is also part of the Arcus Alliance. So whether contact us or university in your hometown, so then you can get all the information you will have. So thank you again, and hope you will have a nice rest of the day working on your startup projects and being successful launching products, services, whatever you want. And looking forward to see you in Graz. Goodbye.
Also from my side, thank you for having me, and all the good luck to all participants. I think it's really fascinating what you guys kind of ideas you have. So I wish you all the best, and maybe we'll see each other in future. I would love to.
Also from my side, thank you very much. I hope to see you in person soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.